I know that I'm innocent. God knows I'm innocent. Travis knows I'm innocent.
In September 2008, Jodi began telling various media outlets that two masked intruders had broken into Travis's home, attacked him and killed him while she watched helplessly.
Travis being attacked by two other individuals.
Who?
I don't know who they were. I couldn't pick them out in a police lineup.
So what happened?
They came into his home and attacked us both.
She claimed one attacker was male, one was female. She said she fled because she was terrified they would kill her too. In a jailhouse interview with Inside Edition, Jodi stated,
"No jury is going to convict me."
Why not?
Because I'm innocent, and you can mark my words on that one, no jury.
Investigators didn't believe this story for multiple reasons. There was no evidence of forced entry. Nothing was stolen from the home. No physical evidence suggested anyone else had been present. The bloody palm print was Jodi's. The camera photos showed only Travis and Jodi. On July 15, 2008, she was arrested at her grandparents' home in California. During her interrogation, surveillance cameras captured something bizarre. Welcome back, and before we continue, there's something of importance we need to discuss briefly. This case became entertainment, cable news, viral clips. Millions of people watched a murder trial like it was a reality show. But behind all of that was a family watching their brother's wounds displayed on national television, listening to graphic testimony about how he died, seeing the woman who killed him become a celebrity. Travis Alexander wasn't a character in a true crime story. He was real. His death was real. His family's pain is real, and we pray they feel even a moment of comfort in knowing he's not forgotten. In the comments, leave one word you believe Travis's family deserves to hear. Not for me. Not for the algorithm. For them. Because they're still living with this every single day, and if you're willing, share a time when you or someone you love ignored a red flag you wish you hadn't. Your honesty might be the reminder someone else needs today. Thank you for engaging with that. It matters. In this video, we'll unravel Jodi's lies, the chilling interrogation, courtroom drama, and where Jodi Arias is today in 2025, still in an Arizona prison, still maintaining a public presence, still selling artwork online. This is about understanding how justice, imperfect as it is, was served, and what we can learn from it.
If Travis were here today, he would tell you that if it wasn't me.
Well, let's start with this. What have you been up to since Travis's death? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been working. I haven't been really working in prepaid legal. There's not a whole lot here in this marketplace, which is...
It's kind of small here.
It's small here, and really that could be seen as an opportunity rather than a hindrance, because that just means the market is untapped in a large way. So I could have, if I wanted to, but I'm kind of like a deer in the headlights when it comes to prepaid legal, and I just have a fear of just approaching people. So I've been working at a Mexican restaurant in the north end of town. I've been kind of in a daze, at least for the first few weeks.
Like everybody, you know.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people have been posting on Facebook really nice things, and memories, and at one point I was like, well, maybe I should do that. So I posted this thing, and I just said all my memories, and I realized looking back on it that it kind of sounded immature. It's more like my Dear Travis kind of letter. And so I took it down because...
More personal?
Yeah, some of it was details, a little bit more personal. Not too personal, nothing inappropriate. Just, I just felt funny. I think because I'm a photographer, I tend to communicate more through pictures. So I posted a ton of pictures that I had of him. And I have a ton more that I just can't access right now. And videos and things that I know his family would want. But, so I posted pictures and I took that down, and I posted something last week. But other than that, I've been on Facebook and MySpace a lot, looking at his profile, looking at his pictures, reading things about his obituaries and any news updates, and you know, there's legacy.com where you can write something about him.
I've seen a lot of those postings.
I didn't realize until I actually spoke with Ryan Burns. He told the guy that's in Utah. And we've been talking a lot, and we try not to talk about that because it's kind of like, ugh. And plus, Travis is my ex-boyfriend, but at the same time, he's my friend. So while I'm mourning my friend, how do you talk to your new potential, possible, maybe person that you might start dating about your friend, even though he was your ex-boyfriend? So it's kind of a gray area. I try not to talk about him too much, but he comes up a lot. And it was through him that I learned that he said, you know, if you come out to Utah, things are really weird because everyone thinks that you could have had a hand.
And I've talked to a lot of people, and everybody's pointing a finger at you.
I know.
You know, everybody is saying, I don't understand what happened to Travis. I don't know who killed him. But you need to look at Jodi. Was it the week of the first week of June? You took a trip to Salt Lake City. Remember that trip we talked about?
Oh, this year?
Yes.
I'm thinking back.
You had left, I think it was like a Monday.
No, I left Monday, June 2nd.
Monday, June 2nd, in morning or afternoon or something. I can't remember what, late morning.
I think it was morning.
Okay, and you'd gone down to Redding and rented a car. Where did you rent that car?
The Redding Airport.
Okay, do you remember what car company it was?
I don't remember the rental company, but I remember the make and model. It was a Ford Focus.
Yeah, I got that from other people in Utah. They said you showed up in a Ford Focus.
It was white, 4-door. No cruise control. I like retros. Cruise control is really good.
You don't remember what company it was? Who
Who
rented it?
Maybe. I did.
Was it with your credit card?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah, I could look it up.
And so
Maybe.
you took a trip and you decided to go to, instead of going over to Utah, you went straight out to Los Angeles area?
I went to Santa Cruz first.
Santa Cruz. Okay.
And then I stayed the night in Monterey. And the next day I drove to Pasadena,
Okay.
waiting for Laura to call me back.
You didn't contact her at all?
She contacted me finally after I'd already left LA.
It was too late. You'd already
Yeah,
left at that point.
and we had plans to do that again this
And
week.
which route did you take from there?
I was supposed to get on the 15 and go all the way up. And I somehow got off the 15.
Where did you end up?
For a while I was lost, and I'm not above sleeping in the car, so I slept for a while.
Okay.
I'm a heavy sleeper and I sleep a lot, so.
But you were on the 15 for a while, and you ended up getting off the 15 somewhere?
Yeah, I looked at a map, and I'm pretty sure I know where I went. Can I draw you a map?
Sure.
Because I eventually started seeing signs for Phoenix, and I was like, and it was several hundred miles away still, but that's weird. Where am I going? So you have California, Los Angeles, and Nevada, Arizona, Utah. And I was supposed to go somewhere right up here. Oh, I'm a lefty. So the 15 kind of does one of these.
Yeah. Goes through, let's say, Las Vegas right here.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, my
No,
map
that's
is
okay.
so wrong.
That's okay. So we'll just put
I know it cuts through Arizona in the corner. Las Vegas, St. George is somewhere here. And then the 40 runs somewhere this way, because somehow I ended up on the 40. And when I saw the 40, I'm like, the only thing I associate with the 40 is Flagstaff, and Flagstaff is somewhere north
Flagstaff
of
is
Utah.
right up here.
I mean northern Arizona. And so, and I was going east, and I was like, what's going on here? I wasn't going the right way, and so I've had for the last 2 years, I've had a car that has a GPS system in it. It's really good, and I think it hasn't served me as far as getting a sense of direction. When I moved to Palm Desert,
Yeah, you kind of rely on it a little too much.
Too much. In fact, when I moved in with the last place I lived in Arizona, I did not know how close it was to Travis. I didn't realize. I have a very bad sense of direction, and it wasn't until I used my GPS the whole time I was there, pretty much, just to find things. Anyway, so I got back, I looked at the MapQuest that I had MapQuest a bunch of places. I was maybe going to go to Death Valley. I was maybe going to go.
Did you actually cross over into Arizona? Is that how far you went?
I crossed over twice, I think. My map was wrong because the 93 goes north, and then I hit the 15 again, and then I got here, and then I hit Arizona, and then went here. Somehow I got north on the 93.
Okay.
And then I hit the 15. So, I mean, I don't know where Phoenix is in Mesa. It's got to be over here.
Yeah.
I didn't go anywhere near there.
So you took this trip and you left on, was it Monday the 2nd? Right? And you didn't get to Utah until Thursday, you told me.
Yeah, I got to Utah on Thursday.
So Thursday, and that's the 5th?
Yeah, I think so.
Monday, that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, yeah, 5th. Okay, so we have, it's like 48 hours there that, well, obviously 3 days, but there's 48 hours. So this trip took you a little over 48 hours there. I have a problem with this trip.
Well, I went first too.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know you went down here.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, Wairika, right there. Beautiful little place here, except it's kind of smoky. And
Yeah,
I can't
right
see
now.
the views. I was hoping to see some mountains, but
You really should
Yes.
see Mount Shasta if you get a chance.
okay. I've gone over this trip over and over in my mind and on paper. And even if there's still 20 some odd hours, even if you pulled over to sleep a couple of times.
Oh, did I tell you that I got stranded?
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned that. If you slept for 10 hours
I only slept for about
here
8
and
hours.
here, it would still leave 18 some odd hours for something else. Okay. This is what people are focusing on, is this trip that you took. Because they're saying she left, she didn't get to till Thursday. Wednesday? That's when Travis was killed.
I did not go near his house. Aren't there?
I pulled your cell records. Your cell phone was turned off between here and here. Okay? But the last place it pulled it was here. The next place it turned on was here. What does that show me?
Oh, well, oh, no.
Is there plenty of time for you to do that? Yes. And do I believe that you had come to visit Travis? Yes. I truly believe it. Did you have the opportunity? Yes. You were traveling alone. There's no other witnesses. Your phone just happened to turn off from here to here.
Well, I didn't turn it off physically, but it died.
And then it magically,
I got
you
it.
found your charger here?
It was packed under the seat of the passenger side, and it was when I was.
When you were lost, you couldn't have maybe pulled over and found it, or?
Well, I did finally start looking when I was stranded. I wouldn't have pulled over when I was lost.
Okay, I've been focusing on this and going over and over in my mind why this happened. Why your phone turns off here outside of Los Angeles.
What city is that? Because I
Going
got
towards-
as far as
There's no cities, there's towers.
Oh, okay. Well,
Okay,
I
there's
got
towers dotted all over this place.
yeah.
One tower hit here, the other tower here on the 93. There is no way somebody can get on that 15 and magically get on that 93. Because that 15 goes right through Las Vegas, right there, and continues this way. It never goes through Arizona again.
I got off before Las Vegas.
Okay.
I didn't get that
The
close.
15, you'd have to go to Las Vegas and then come down south, go through Boulder City.
I went through Boulder City going north.
Did you cross over the
know.
dam?
Uh-huh.
You didn't think that was odd? You were crossing it over Arizona?
Well, after I figured out it was lost by then, and I found the 93 and then found my way back to the 15.
And this tower here, it's not just over the border in Arizona, it's quite a distance inside of Arizona that it hit. Because there's a mountain range all along here. And if you're on this side of the mountain range, pretty good distance, that signal's not going to hit Utah or Nevada or California. It's only going to hit in Arizona.
Well, I had somehow gotten off the 15 and got onto the 40. Is what happened.
Well, the only way you can get on the 40 is if after you cross the bridge or the dam, river dam.
I think I got on the 40 in California.
From the 15.
Well, because I actually began to drive the 10 West.
But you see what I'm saying? The confusion that we're having? And we'll come back to this.
Well, I got on the 40 somewhere over here.
In California.
Yeah, and continued to drive this way. Realized I was not in the right place at all. And then I got onto the 93 North. And then I hit the 15 again. And then I went through Las Vegas and then St. George and then on to Utah.
Okay. That still doesn't make any sense to me. And I can pull the maps and show them to you, and you can go over and over and over again. But I don't think you're being completely honest with me about that trip.
I honestly got lost. It's bad timing.
Were you at Travis's house on Wednesday?
Absolutely not. I was nowhere near Mesa. I was nowhere near Phoenix. I just bought a gun.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
You probably found it by now.
Probably. I was taking it somewhere.
These are just a few photos. And I want to be careful not showing you certain photos.
Please
because
don't
some of
show
them
me.
are very bad. That's obviously Travis's house, right? Remember that?
Yeah. If Travis were here today, he would tell you that it wasn't me.
No. My job is to speak for Travis right now. And everything Travis is telling me is that Jodi did this to me. Have you ever shot that 25 auto?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever touched it?
The one that was stolen? I've never seen it. Like your grandpa said, it looks like a toy gun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what a 25 looks like. I know what a 22 looks like. I don't know
It's
what-
just like a 22, actually.
Well, the 22s that I saw kind of looked like the ones in the westerns where they had the barrel and the long, you know. But there was another 22 in this store that looked like a toy gun, so it looked like a squirt gun, like a water gun. I don't know.
Where's that one? Remember him?
Is he naked? In the shower?
Yep. Let's see is this is
Travis would never go for that.
soon after you and him had sex on his bed.
That couldn't have been too soon after.
An hour or so.
The last time
2
we had sex in
hours.
his bed was in April.
That's you. I wanted to cover you up because
Oh,
that's you. All of you.
that looks like me.
That is you. Normal right there you have on your face. few of those. And there's a few more, which I try not to show people because I don't want to put you out there like that to people. My job is to investigate, find out who did it, why they did it, and present it to a court. And that's it.
I just can't imagine.
You have something to tell me, but you're just so resistant. I know you're afraid, but you're already going through it right now. There's no backing up. There's no backing up to yesterday. There's no backing up to that day. It's already happened. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to face the consequences.
You know, if I did that, I'd be fully ready to face the consequences. I'm not really for things like, you know, I'm all for the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill. Okay? But
There's no evidence to show anybody else did that. None.
well, I'm just.
You think we'd find somebody else's fingerprint if they did that? Possibly. There's something that happens. You keep saying gloves. There's things that happen when people wear gloves. Then we can actually see that, well, somebody wore gloves in this case. Nobody wore gloves in this case. Nobody.
Oh, I'm just saying that if I were to carry out something like that, I would have worn gloves.
Nobody else did this. There's no evidence to show that anybody else did this but you. You were the only one. That is it. And I'm not seeing any remorse. I'm not seeing anything from you to make me believe anything otherwise. You can continue to say, I didn't do it.
Well,
but you're the kid that got caught on videotape stealing the candy. And you continue to say, it wasn't me. I have the proof. I have the pictures. It wasn't me. I don't think you would admit to it if your own mother saw you do this and she told me, yeah, I saw her do this. You would say, no, it wasn't me. Why won't you admit to it?
I just can't. I didn't kill Travis. I just didn't. I did not take his life.
Did you have anything to do with the death of Travis?
I don't think I had anything directly to do with it, but I feel responsible somewhat for it.
Then what can you tell me about his death?
You know a lot more about it than I do. When I say I feel responsible, it's because I wasn't planning to go there at all, and he really wanted me to go. And I told him no, and I would have if it weren't for Ryan. And there's nothing really with Ryan and I. In fact, he has been very hesitant to move anything forward because he's not sure about me. He said a lot of people are talking. I'll just tell you that right now. I really wish this would get solved so that we can just put it behind us.
And if you really wanted to embrace reality, you would sit here and explain to me why this happened. But you refuse. You refuse to embrace reality.
Why. I don't know why he was killed. I don't know why. I had issues with Travis. If anything, he had more issues with me. I've had worse issues with other people. They're all still alive. I'm still friends with my ex-boyfriends. They're all still alive.
You know, I've been doing this a long time. And there's one thing that I can never get out of my head. Ever since the first day I talked to you. There's an old saying that, you know, someone's just not acting right. Look into it. You have not acted right from day one. From day one when I talked to you on that phone, I just sensed that you weren't acting like somebody who used to love this guy, or who still loved him, even as a close friend. And even now, when I told you that I have all this evidence against you and that you're facing first-degree murder charges, you're just not acting right, Jodi. You're acting like somebody who's guilty.
How so?
You tell me. I know because I've been doing it a long time.
It's
It's taken
not
me a
that I
long
don't-
time to figure it out. But within the first 30 seconds to a minute of a conversation, I know when somebody's acting right. There's a certain way people act.
How did I act
Okay,
that would
it's
make
not
you
like-
think?
It's not like TV. It's not anything like that. It's not what you see in the movies. I see reality. When I accuse somebody of committing a heinous crime or, you know, something very serious, reality hits in, and they definitely act a certain way, and that's not you. You act just like everybody else who I accuse of doing a crime, who did it. And there's no other way to tell you.
Is it because I'm not crying?
No. It's not because of that.
What is it? I mean, I'm not going to change how I act.
No,
so
obviously
it's
you
me.
can't change the way you're
No,
acting.
I mean, I am who I am.
Okay, you're sincere in the way you're acting, but
Well, how is
you're just not telling the truth.
How is it different?
Well, it's not really something you need to focus on anymore. I think you need to focus on the truth, but it's something that you refuse. So if you don't want to continue, then we'll just move on to the next step.
Listen, it's not that I didn't love Travis, and it's not that I don't still love him, but I really needed to move on,
Mm-hmm.
and the last,
What prevented you from moving on? Nobody was preventing you from moving on.
well, the only person preventing me really from moving on was myself, and until I made that step, and I moved back, moved away, and we communicated gradually less and less and less, and I was fine with that. I haven't found the guy, the man that I want to marry, the person I want to spend my life with. But in my mind, Travis did, and I was happy for him, and I thought there was also a part of me that felt, if I stay, I'm going to jeopardize that for him as well. We both deserve to be happy. We both deserve to have, you know, be married in the temple.
I don't want to leave here today not knowing, because it's going to follow me forever.
I wish that I had answers. I'm sorry.
You need to just let the answers come out.
There's just no reason. There's just no reason.
There's no good reason why this happened. There's never a good reason why somebody dies like this.
How many times was Travis stabbed?
More than I want to remember. And I'm not going to sit here and show you pictures of him after the fact. I don't do that. That's not how I work. That is not for me to do. But eventually those photos will come out. Jodi. Jodi, we're here now. We're right here. I think you're feeling the reality in the moment now.
No, I'm just feeling all of the things that I'm going to potentially miss out on with my family, and I think of all the things that Travis's family is going to miss out on with Travis. And he had brothers and sisters, and I have brothers and sisters. And
It's not fair.
It's not fair, but this is where we are.
I mean, I know that he's in a good place, and I know that he's fine. I know that he's doing great. But what about all of his friends, all of his family that are here and they're just going through all of this? And I know that it's temporary, but it's so very much right now. There's just no reason I would ever want to hurt him.
Well, whether you wanted to is a different question.
I'm just saying.
I don't think you wanted to. I really don't think you wanted to. But this speaks for itself. It speaks for itself, Jodi. It goes beyond speculation. This is way beyond speculation. This is downright proof.
Can you give me a rundown of what's going to happen from here when you leave?
Yeah, you're,
Like, just today, for example.
well, you'll probably be taken across the street to the county jail. You'll be processed through there. You'll be set in front of a judge, at least within 24 hours. And there's a warrant for your arrest, and the bond is $2 million. If you can come up with a $2 million bond, then the judge will decide whether to, accept that $2 million or not. At that point, we're going to file extradition papers. Basically, our courts are saying that, hey, you have someone in custody on one of our charges. We want them brought back to Arizona, or at least allow us to come pick them up. And that's called an extradition hearing. You will be given the opportunity to either waive it and say, that's fine, I'll just go on my own free will, or you can fight it and say, no, I don't want to go back to Arizona.
What if I say I go on my own free will? Of course I would go.
Yeah. At that point, the judge would say, okay, she's not fighting this, so come get her. And then we would go.
What if I did fight? Then what happens?
Then you would have a hearing,
Oh.
like a little trial.
So it just
not a
delays the
trial.
inevitable, basically.
It delays it.
And costs people, taxpayers money.
And then you'll be transferred over to the Maricopa County Jail in Phoenix. And then you will start your court proceedings there.
And
I've already filed these charges. You went to a grand jury, and a grand jury indicted you.
So it's all public now?
It's public record.
So does everyone know?
If somebody goes on and checks public record, they can check it. And they would come up with an indictment against you for murder.
But it's going to be on the news tonight.
We don't report anything to the news.
Has his family called today?
No. They don't even know that I'm talking to you.
But they've been calling every day.
Every day.
Are you going to tell
I
them?
talk to them every day. How would you feel if your little brother or little sister was killed?
I've been wanting to call every day too, but I didn't want to look obsessive. So I just tried to limit it to once a week. I didn't hear you breathe. I wonder how am I still here? And I don't wanna lose a thing. It might change my memory.
When detectives left Jodi alone in the interview room, she did handstands. She sang to herself. She examined herself in the mirror, fixing her hair. She didn't behave like someone who had just witnessed a brutal murder or who feared being wrongly convicted. By August 2010, Jodi Arias had changed her story again. Now she admitted killing Travis Alexander, but she claimed it was self-defense.
I was scared. I was thinking, crap, because it's everything that I was trying to avoid downstairs when he started getting mad. I was doing everything I could to avoid that, and I still didn't avoid it. I still screwed it up, and now he's pissed again. So he's freaking out, I'm freaking out. I rolled, like I said, I rolled off to my left and began to run down the hallway, and I could hear him follow, I could hear his footsteps chasing me.
Were you scared when he was chasing you?
Yeah, I didn't want him to grab me again.
What were you scared that he would do?
Who knows? At that point, he had already almost killed me. I wasn't thinking when he almost killed me before that I was going to possibly die. I was just thinking I couldn't breathe. No air. That's all I could think of before I passed out. But it was later on that I realized that I could have died if he had just held on to my neck a little longer. So I didn't want that to happen, obviously. So I ran into the closet and I slammed the door. And I intended to run through the opposite end of the door because it has another exit. And as soon as I got in there and began to run, I remembered where he kept a gun. So I grabbed it. I jumped up on the shelf, kept it on the very top. I grabbed it. And then I ran out the other door as he was opening the door. And he ran, chasing me. And I turned around and pointed it at him so that he would stop chasing me.
According to this version, she and Travis were taking photos in the shower when she accidentally dropped his camera. He became enraged, explosively angry. He attacked her. She fought back. A gun was involved. A knife was involved. She said she didn't remember stabbing him repeatedly. She didn't remember slashing his throat. She had vague, fragmented memories of the shooting. She claimed Travis had been physically and emotionally abusive throughout their relationship, that he used her for sex while demeaning her, that he had hurt her before, and on June 4th, she feared for her life. This would be the story she would tell the jury. But there were problems with this version too. No medical records documented injuries consistent with prior abuse. No witnesses corroborated her stories of violence. Friends and family testified they'd never seen Travis be violent with anyone. And there were the deleted photos, the damaged camera hidden in the washer, the rental car with missing floor mats, the stolen gun from exactly 1 week before the murder. The evidence suggested premeditation, not self-defense. On December 10, 2012, jury selection began. By January 2, 2013, opening statements started. The trial would last nearly 5 months and become one of the most watched court proceedings in American history. Prosecutor Juan Martinez was known for his aggressive courtroom style. He was theatrical, confrontational, and relentless.
Who done it? The person who committed this killing sits in court today. It's the defendant, Jodi Arias. And the person that she done it to is an individual by the name of Travis Victor Alexander, a former boyfriend of hers.
Martinez's theory was straightforward. Jodi Arias planned the attack and killed Alexander in a jealous rage. She couldn't accept that he'd chosen another woman for the Cancun trip. She couldn't accept that he was moving on with his life while she remained alone. The prosecution presented the forensic evidence, the camera photos with timestamps, the bloody palm print, the DNA. On January 8, 2013, prosecutors showed the jury bloody crime scene photos. Jodi appeared visibly shaken. The rental car evidence. Jodi had driven from California to Arizona to Utah, a round trip of nearly 3,000 miles. She'd returned the car with the floor mats missing and red stains on the seats. The stolen gun, the same caliber used to shoot Travis. The gas receipts showing Jodi purchased fuel in unusual amounts and locations, suggesting she was trying to avoid having a record of being in Arizona. Cell phone records showing Jodi's phone was turned off during the critical hours on June 4th. Travis's friends testified about the stalking behavior, the tire slashing, the warnings they'd given. The medical examiner described Travis's wounds in clinical detail. 27 stab wounds, defensive wounds showing he'd fought back, the slashed throat, the gunshot. It was methodical. It was overwhelming. Defense attorneys Kirk Nurmi and Jennifer Wilmot had an uphill battle. Their client had already admitted to killing Travis Alexander. The physical evidence was undeniable. Their strategy: convince the jury it was self-defense. They painted Travis as controlling and abusive. They argued that he used Jodi for sex while refusing to commit to her publicly, that he demeaned her, that he'd been violent with her before. Defense witness Alice Laviolette, a psychotherapist specializing in domestic violence, testified that Arias was a victim of domestic abuse.
Given everything that you have reviewed, that you've read in this case, that you've seen, do you have an opinion, an ultimate opinion in your expertise about whether or not Ms. Arias was in an abusive relationship?
Yes, I believe she was in an abusive relationship.
She explained why victims often don't report abuse: shame, humiliation, fear. During Laviolette's testimony, the defense alluded to emails between Travis and his friends, Chris and Sky Hughes. The trial judge ruled the emails were hearsay and couldn't be entered into evidence, but Laviolette was allowed to paraphrase their content. According to Laviolette's testimony, the emails suggested Travis's friends had expressed concerns about how he treated Jodi and other women, with Sky Hughes writing that she wouldn't allow Travis to date her sister. Another defense expert testified that Jodi suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder and amnesia, explaining why she couldn't recall details from the day of the killing. But prosecutor Martinez challenged every defense claim. He questioned the timing of Jodi's PTSD diagnosis. She was evaluated while still claiming intruders had committed the murder. How could experts accurately diagnose someone who was still lying about the basic facts? On February 4, 2013, Jodi Arias took the witness stand. She would testify for 18 days, an unprecedented length of time for a defendant in a murder trial. She described her relationship with Travis in graphic detail: the sex, the arguments, the alleged abuse. She claimed she'd caught Travis viewing inappropriate images of children. She said he'd physically harmed her multiple times, choked her, body slammed her. She described June 4th, how she'd arrived at Travis's house, how they'd taken intimate photos, how they'd taken shower photos, how she'd dropped the camera, how Travis had exploded in rage, how he'd attacked her. How she'd feared for her life. She said she barely remembered the knife. She had foggy memories of the gun. She described a dissociative state where she wasn't fully aware of what she was doing. Prosecutor Martinez's cross-examination was brutal. He challenged every inconsistency, every changed detail, every convenient memory gap. Why did she take photographs after claiming Travis attacked her over dropping the camera? Why did she hide the camera in the washer if she acted in self-defense? Why did she rent a car, turn off her phone, drive through the night? Why did she leave voicemails pretending she didn't know Travis was dead? Jodi's answers were often evasive. She couldn't explain many details. She claimed not to remember. The jury watched 18 days of testimony. They heard her describe the relationship, the alleged abuse, and the killing. They also heard about the 3 different stories she'd told: the lies to police, the interview where she confidently declared no jury would convict her, the handstands in the interrogation room. On May 2, 2013, closing arguments began.
She knew that she was going to kill him. There's 3 different ways that she killed him. One of those 3 satisfies this: knew she would cause the death of another person. And after forming that knowledge, after knowing that she was going to kill him, because it talks about intending or knowledge, after knowing, after forming that intent or knowledge, reflected on the decision before killing. And the key here is, what is reflection? What does that mean? And it defines it for you. It tells you that it is this reflection regardless of the length of time in which it occurs. That distinguishes first-degree murder from second-degree murder. What that is telling you is that you don't have to have a month of thinking about it or knowing about it. You don't have to have a week between the thinking and knowing and the killing. You don't even have to have a day between the thinking and the knowing. You just have to have a length of time regardless of the length. So it can be very short. It can be as short as stabbing him in the shower and then, after a couple of minutes, chasing him down and going for the throat. No one can dispute that he walked that way to get away from her. No one can dispute that he was already injured. He was already going to die. When this was applied, by this I mean the strike to the throat, she knew he was already going to die, but that type of injury indicates you want that person to die. Additionally, when she shot him in the head, although he was already dead, that also indicates that she wanted him to die. It does say that while reflection is required for first-degree murder, the time needed for reflection is not necessarily prolonged. Again, it's telling you it doesn't have to be days, it doesn't have to be hours, it doesn't even have to be minutes. And then it tells you in the space and time between the intent or knowledge to kill and the act of killing may be very short. In this case, I guess it depends on who you ask, this was a long period of time for Mr. Alexander to be going through this. Just a long period of time between the stab wounds to the heart and the shower when he was defenseless to the time that he was trying to get away and going along the wall and absolutely falling down. So in this case, it can be very short. She killed him 3 different ways. She knew that she was going to kill him. Additionally, not only that, she brought the implements. She brought the gun. If she didn't bring the gun and it was Mr. Alexander's, then you have a burglary. And that implicates felony murder. Because she came and she took his gun. If what she's saying is that she stole his gun, did she have his permission to take that gun? According to her, it was his gun. If she took his gun, then that's a burglary. And if during the burglary somebody dies, i.e. stealing the gun, then that's premeditated murder.
Prosecutor Juan Martinez described Jodi Arias as a manipulative liar who had planned Travis Alexander's murder. After 15 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. On May 8, 2013, Jodi Arias was found guilty of first-degree murder. She showed little emotion as the verdict was read. Minutes later, in a shocking jailhouse interview with Fox 10 News, Jodi Arias spoke as if the verdict meant nothing.
It's just more court, just keeps going on and on. I just wanted to get it over with.
Are you focusing on the court, or are you focusing on what could be the worst outcome for you?
Well, the worst outcome for me would be natural life. I would much rather die a lot sooner than later. Longevity runs in my family, and I don't want to spend the rest of my natural life in one place. You know, I'm pretty healthy, I don't smoke, and I would probably live a long time.
I'm pretty healthy. I don't smoke, and I would probably live for a long time, so that's not something I am looking forward to, she added. Death is the ultimate freedom. Think about that statement for a moment. She had just been convicted of brutally murdering Travis Alexander, 27 stab wounds, a slit throat, a gunshot to the head. And her primary concern was her own comfort, her own future. Not once did she express genuine remorse for what she'd done to Travis. Not once did she acknowledge the pain his family would carry forever. The jury had spoken. Jodi Arias was guilty of first-degree murder. But the question of her punishment was far from over. In Arizona, after a first-degree murder conviction, the jury must decide whether the defendant receives the death penalty or life in prison. For Jodi Arias to be sentenced to death, 2 things had to happen. First, the jury had to unanimously agree that aggravating factors made the crime especially cruel, heinous, or depraved. Second, the jury had to unanimously agree that those aggravating factors outweighed any mitigating circumstances and that death was the appropriate sentence. The aggravation phase began quickly. The prosecution presented 1 witness, medical examiner Kevin Horn.
I am a medical examiner. I'm charged with examining deceased individuals and certifying a cause and manner of death within the county. We're looking at a frontal x-ray of the head, and on the left side, on the right side of the x-ray, you can see a projectile.
When you said the left side, that would be the left side of Mr. Alexander, correct?
His left, our right, as we look at the x-ray.
Exhibit number 172. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at a side view of the head, again showing the projectile.
And this is where the projectile ended up, correct?
Yes.
Is it, and it is on the left side, even though this is the right aspect?
Yes, it's his left cheek area.
Are there any injuries on the top of the arm?
There is an injury to the thumb, which I don't think is really clearly visible in this photograph.
All right, let's then take a look at exhibit number 176, which shows us what are we looking at here?
This is the palm of the right hand, and I think there may be another picture that shows this better, but there is an incised or a cutting injury of the tip of the right thumb.
And exhibit 177, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
In looking at injuries, are you able to tell whether they were made before death, after death, or at the time of death as part of the examination?
Sometimes. It depends on the case.
How about this one right here? Could you tell by looking at it and conducting an analysis whether or not this was done either before death, at the time of death, or after death?
I think it was done before death. There is hemorrhage associated with it.
When you say that there's hemorrhage associated with it, explain that a little bit more to me. What is it that causes a person to hemorrhage if they're alive, which is what I think you're telling me?
Well, if you have a heartbeat, you're going to have blood flow to an area that's injured, and so you'll have blood flow from an injury. So if the skin is cut or torn, there will be a great deal of blood that will come from the injury in a living person. A deceased person will ooze some blood, but not a great deal.
So in this one right here, it is your opinion that Mr. Alexander was alive when this was inflicted?
Yes, taking into consideration what I said and also in context with other injuries that are on the hands.
And what kind of injury is this one that we're looking at?
It's a sharp force injury. It's caused by a blade or a sharp forced object.
If an individual, let's get away a little bit from a knife right now and just focus on the individual maybe who is dragged or is hit, that kind of thing. If an individual is dead and somebody applies some force, hits them, are they going to bruise necessarily or not?
There may be something that would look like a bruise, but it will not be as large and the color will be different in a deceased person because there's no blood flow to the area. So you'll actually just breaking blood vessels in that area, and whatever blood happens to be there will ooze out, but there won't be blood pumped into the area.
And part of the reason I ask that is I see that there's sort of like on top of it a little bit of a darker area. Is that mummification or is that bruising?
It may be a combination of both. There's some darkening underneath the nail there, but in the context of the mummification, I can't really say for sure.
Are you familiar with the term defensive wounds?
Yes.
And define that for me, please.
They're based largely on location on the body. If you have injuries to the backs of the forearms or to the palms or backs of the hands, you can have gunshot wounds in those locations, or in the case of an assault with a knife or an edged weapon, you can have cuts or incised injuries to the backs or the palms or the backs of the forearm, and it's consistent with someone trying to either grab the knife or fend off wounds or fend off injury.
Dr. Horn testified again about the nature of Travis Alexander's injuries. The 27 stab wounds. The defensive wounds on his hands showing he fought for his life. The throat wound that nearly decapitated him. The gunshot to the forehead. But the prosecution's most powerful argument wasn't just about the number of wounds. It was about time. Dr. Horn testified that based on the injuries, Travis Alexander would have remained conscious for approximately 2 minutes after the initial attack began. 2 minutes while he was being stabbed. 2 minutes while his attacker continued the assault. 2 minutes of terror and pain before he finally died. To demonstrate this, prosecutor Juan Martinez did something dramatic. He stood silently in front of the jury. He looked at his watch. And he waited. 2 full minutes. No one spoke. No one moved. The courtroom was completely silent. The jury sat there watching the clock, Understanding what Travis Alexander had endured in his final moments, after 2 minutes, Martinez simply said, "That's how long he suffered." The jury deliberated and quickly determined the murder was especially cruel. Now came the penalty phase. Life or death. Travis Alexander's family finally had the chance to speak directly to the jury about what they had lost.
My name is Stephen Alexander. Travis was my big brother. I was sleeping in after working a 12-hour graveyard shift in the Army. I woke up to the sound of my wife crying, walking up the stairs. I will never forget what she said. "Samantha, I cannot tell him. You have to." My wife handed the phone to me. It was my sister Samantha. She was crying hysterically. She told me, "Stephen, Travis is dead." I thought I was dreaming. She didn't really have any details at the time, so I just gave the phone back to my wife. A few moments later, we found out he was killed. I remember walking out my back door, screaming, crying at the sky, asking why. Then I sank down into a corner, and I cried some more. A while later, my commander called with the same news. I kept my composure, but in my head, I was reliving the same exact moment all over again.
His brother Stephen Alexander took the stand. He described Travis as someone who had overcome tremendous odds, someone who had been abused and neglected as a child but had fought to build a better life, someone who believed in helping others, in faith, in family. "I lost my best friend," Stephen said, his voice breaking. "I lost my brother. Our family will never be whole again." Travis's sister Samantha described the horror of learning how her brother died. The nightmares. The inability to process the violence. The permanent trauma of knowing someone they'd trusted had done this to someone they loved. Another sister, Hilary Wilcox, spoke through tears. "It hurts too much to remember him alive, because if I remember him, I remember too much about how he was brutally taken from us, and I can't handle it." The family's pain was visible, raw, undeniable. Then Jodi Arias took the stand again. This time her demeanor was different. She appeared humble, remorseful. She wore glasses. She spoke softly. "I want everyone to know that I'm truly disgusted and repulsed with myself," she said. "I wish I could take it back. I wish I could undo the horrible things I did. I can't." She told the jury she wanted to contribute to society from prison. She said she would teach other inmates to read. She would create art that could be sold to benefit domestic violence charities. She would be a positive force, even behind bars. She begged them to spare her life.
As for not wanting the death penalty, it's my firm belief that death would bring me untold peace and freedom. That's my personal belief. If I died today, I would be free and I would be at peace. For years, that's exactly what I wanted. But I had to fight for my life just like I did on June 4th, 2008, because I realized how selfish it would be for me to escape accountability for this mess that I've created. I have 2 brothers, 2 sisters, several nieces and nephews, a mom, a dad, 8 aunts. Nine uncles, over 20 cousins that I've grown up with, as well as countless friends, all of whom would suffer greatly if I took my own life or if I allocated and begged for the death penalty and then got it.
The jury deliberated, and deliberated, and deliberated. On May 23, 2013, after several days of deliberation, the jury sent a note to Judge Stevens. They were deadlocked. 8 jurors voted for death, 4 voted for life. Judge Stevens declared a mistrial in the penalty phase. Under Arizona law, this meant a new jury would be selected to decide Jodi Arias' sentence. The conviction stood, She was guilty of first-degree murder, but her punishment would be decided by 12 different people. The Alexander family was devastated. They would have to go through the entire process again. In October 2014, the second penalty phase began. A new jury was selected. They had not witnessed the original trial. They had not heard Jodi Arias testify for 18 days. They had not seen the daily media circus, but they would hear the evidence. They would see the crime scene photos. They would listen to victim impact statements, and they would decide life or death. This time, there were complications. Defense witnesses testified that Alexander's laptop contained viruses and some pornography, testimony that contradicted claims made during the original trial. The defense argued this supported their theory that Travis had a darker side, that he wasn't the devout Mormon he appeared to be, and that the relationship dynamics were more complex than the prosecution suggested. The prosecution countered that none of this excused what Jodi Arias had done. Regardless of Travis Alexander's private behavior, regardless of the nature of their relationship, nothing justified the brutal, premeditated murder that occurred on June 4, 2008. Prosecutor Juan Martinez once again showed the jury graphic crime scene photographs. Photos of Travis's wounds, photos of the blood-soaked bathroom, photos that forced the jury to confront the reality of what Jodi Arias had done. During closing arguments, Martinez questioned Jodi's claimed remorse. He reminded the jury of her behavior after the murder, the voicemails pretending she didn't know Travis was dead, the rental car with missing floor mats, the lies, the 3 different stories. It doesn't provide an excuse, Martinez told the jury, referring to Jodi's claims of psychological problems and past trauma. She knew exactly what she was doing. Defense attorney Kirk Nurmi made his own closing argument, that Jodi Arias deserved a second chance, that she was a victim of abuse throughout her life, that putting her to death would serve no purpose. The jury began deliberations on February 12, 2015. On March 2, 2015, they informed Judge Stevens they were deadlocked. The judge read additional instructions and ordered them to continue deliberating. On March 5, 2015, after approximately 26 hours of deliberation over 5 days, the jury remained deadlocked at 11-1 in favor of the death penalty. Again, a mistrial was declared. Family members of Travis Alexander wept when the judge announced the verdict. Some sobbed audibly in the courtroom. After nearly 7 years of legal proceedings, 2 juries, and 2 deadlocks, they still had no final resolution. Under Arizona law, when 2 juries cannot agree on the death penalty, a judge must decide between 2 sentences: life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years, or life in prison without any possibility of release. The judge could not impose the death penalty. On April 13, 2015, Judge Sherry Stevens held the final sentencing hearing. Travis Alexander's family spoke one more time. Stephen Alexander described how his family had been harassed by Jodi Arias' supporters throughout the trial. "They send me pictures of my brother's dead body, his autopsy photos, his blackened face and slit throat, to my email and my Facebook page," he said. "I did not ever think we would be victimized." Hillary Wilcox again spoke through tears. "It hurts too much to remember him alive, because if I remember him, I remember too much about how he was brutally taken from us, and I can't handle it." Prosecutor Juan Martinez told the judge that the Alexander family hoped Arias would be sentenced to life without parole. Not because they want to be vindictive, but as you have also seen, what happened in that bathroom was a butchering. Jodi's mother, Sandy Arias, pleaded for leniency. She asked the judge to give her daughter the possibility of parole, a chance at freedom after 25 years. Then Jodi Arias spoke. "It's my firm belief that death would bring me untold peace and freedom," she said. "If I die today, I would be free and I would be at peace." But she asked for the possibility of parole. She said she wanted to contribute to society from behind bars. Judge Stevens listened to all the statements. Then she announced her decision.
The court has considered the nature and circumstances of the offense. I have considered the aggravating factor found by the jury. I have identified aggravating and mitigating factors and considered those factors in arriving at a sentence for Ms. Arias. As aggravation, the court finds, as the jury found, the crime was especially cruel. The offense was committed with at least 2 deadly weapons, a gun and at least 1 knife. The crime involved substantial planning and preparation. The defendant did not render aid to the victim. The defendant destroyed evidence at the crime scene. The defendant went to great lengths to conceal her involvement in the crime. The court has also considered, as an aggravating factor, the emotional and financial harm to the victim family members. As mitigation, the court finds the defendant has no prior criminal history. The defendant has family and community support. The defendant has mental health issues. The court has also considered the defendant's childhood background, family history, and her expressed remorse. The court finds the mitigation presented is not sufficiently substantial to call for leniency and that a natural life sentence is appropriate. It is ordered the defendant shall be incarcerated in the Department of Corrections for the rest of her natural life with no possibility of parole.
Jodi Arias would die in prison. Even after sentencing, the case wasn't over. Jodi Arias's defense team immediately began preparing appeals. They argued that she hadn't received a fair trial, that the media circus had tainted the proceedings, that prosecutor Juan Martinez's behavior had been so egregious it warranted a new trial. And on this last point, they had compelling evidence. Throughout the trial, Juan Martinez had been aggressive, theatrical, and effective. But he'd also crossed ethical lines. He bullied witnesses during cross-examination. He made inappropriate comments to defense attorneys. He signed autographs for fans on the courthouse steps during trial breaks. He engaged with trial bloggers and allegedly leaked confidential information. One particularly disturbing incident occurred during a sidebar at Judge Stevens' bench. When defense attorney Jennifer Wilmot challenged one of Martinez's tactics, Martinez said, "If I were married to Jennifer Wilmot, I would fucking kill myself." The comment wasn't heard by the jury, but it reflected a pattern of behavior that troubled many observers. On March 24, 2020, the Arizona Court of Appeals issued its ruling on Jodi Arias's appeal. The 3-judge panel, led by Judge Jennifer Campbell, wrote a scathing 29-page opinion about Martinez's conduct. Prosecutorial misconduct undeniably permeated this case, Judge Campbell wrote. Rather than a few isolated missteps, a pattern of intentional misconduct saturated the trial. The court detailed Martinez's behavior, how he bullied witnesses and Arias herself, suggested that a psychologist had romantic feelings for Arias, appealed to the jurors' passions and fears, and promoted himself by signing autographs on the courthouse steps. The panel condemned Martinez's argumentative phrasing of questions to defense witnesses, adding that his aggressive tone and combative bullying behavior were recurring issues in the trial. It was damning. An official court document detailing egregious misconduct by a highly experienced prosecutor. But here's what the court also said. We conclude that Arias was convicted based upon the overwhelming evidence of her guilt, not as a result of prosecutorial misconduct. Judge Campbell wrote, "It was not prudent to reverse convictions merely to punish a prosecutor's misdeeds or to deter future misconduct." The conviction stood. The sentence stood. But the court took the rare step of referring Juan Martinez to the State Bar of Arizona for ethical violations. Juan Martinez's career was effectively over. 7 different complaints against Martinez were filed with the Arizona State Bar. the bar investigated 5 different allegations of misconduct in murder trials. When a committee initially required Martinez to take part in a course about professional conduct and ethics, Martinez refused. The state bar filed a formal disciplinary complaint. On Thursday, the Arizona Supreme Court issued its opinion and upheld the bar's request for Martinez to be sanctioned with a reprimand. But there was more. Martinez was also accused of sexual harassment by multiple women in the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. The office moved to fire him. In 2021, Juan Martinez consented to be disbarred. His name was stricken from the roll of lawyers. He was no longer entitled to practice law in Arizona. Beth Karras, a legal analyst who covered the trial, said, "We have both lawyers on both sides who have now been disbarred for their conduct in the Jodi Arias case. I think that's probably unprecedented." The trial that captivated millions had destroyed careers on both sides, but Jodi Arias remained in prison. Jodi Arias is currently serving her life sentence at the Arizona State Prison Complex in Perryville, located in Goodyear, Arizona. She started her sentence in the complex's maximum security Lumley unit, but has since been downgraded to medium security level. What does life look like for Jodi Arias now, more than 16 years after she murdered Travis Alexander? Arias spends her days and nights confined to an 86-square-foot cell at Perryville. She spent the first 2 years of her prison sentence in maximum custody, but she has since been moved to close custody. In close custody, Arias can have a cellmate, and she can congregate with other inmates outside of her cell. Her cell contains a bed, mattress, sink, and toilet. She can see sunlight and moonlight through 2 very thin window slits. The cell has an electrical and cable outlet on the wall, which she can use to plug in a television and radio. But she has no air conditioning, only a swamp cooler. Think about that for a moment. Goodyear, Arizona, where temperatures regularly exceed 110 degrees in summer. An 86-square-foot concrete cell. A swamp cooler that barely functions during monsoon season. This is where Jodi Arias will spend the rest of her life. Arias has worked various jobs in prison: library aide, warehouse worker, porter. Since 2022, Arias has held a job as a library aide at the prison and, more recently, was assigned to assist with music programs, including the prison band and choir, according to jail records. According to reports from former cellmates, Jodi has been involved in music programs. She sings in the prison choir. She's described as having a pleasant voice, but her time in prison hasn't been without controversy. In the Lifetime documentary Jodi Arias, Cellmate Secrets, 2 women who served time with Arias, Donovan Baring and Tracy Brown Baring, a couple, claim that Arias regularly got away with things other prisoners didn't because she was a very attractive young girl who liked to flirt and the male guards just ate it up. Tracy Brown called Arias her songbird and a woman with the voice of an angel. Brown even let Arias tattoo a bird alongside a musical note on her left calf, with Arias's name inside the bird. Brown later claimed in the documentary that Arias had confided in her about considering ending her life and revealed her suicide plan. Brown said, "I agreed to let Jodi put her name on my leg because I was convinced she was going to kill herself. I wanted something to remember this friend that I had gotten so close to in such a short time." But the friendship soured. Donovan Baring told Heavy, "When I started speaking to her mom, way more than Jodi, I started seeing stuff that didn't add up, like the stories of her relationships and how her parents treated her. She didn't really care about anything or anyone but herself. You crossed her in any way, and you suffered. She didn't know what a true friend was, only someone to use to get what she wanted." Baring described an incident where she refused to post on Twitter about Arias's parents' financial situation. "I changed the password where she couldn't get in. She wrote a letter to my wife in prison and had one of her supporters in the UK post stuff about me online. Even in prison, the pattern continued. Using people. Manipulating relationships, retaliating when she didn't get her way. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Jodi Arias's prison life is her continued public presence. She has sold artwork online, paintings and drawings, some pieces reportedly selling for as much as $2,500. Because the artwork doesn't directly reference the murder, it doesn't violate Arizona's Son of Sam laws designed to prevent criminals from profiting from their crimes. According to her website, money from art sales goes toward site maintenance, funding her appeals, and 10% to various nonprofits. In 2015, a judge ordered Arias to pay $32,000 to Travis Alexander's family, and as of this writing, it's unclear if that money has been paid. Arias's Twitter account is still active today, being run by someone outside of prison. Recent updates include posts about what books Arias is reading, her getting a flu shot, links to a GoFundMe page for legal bills, and tweets featuring Arias's prison address. In 2023, Jodi launched a Substack blog. Most content is subscriber-only, but some entries are public. In a June 27, 2023 post, Arias dismissed tabloid rumours that she flirts with prison staff, calling the claim a juicy lie. She wrote, "Every step I take from here on out is in the pursuit of justice." That statement suggested she was preparing another legal challenge to her conviction. Despite being convicted of murder, Arias has reportedly attracted countless male admirers from behind bars and receives marriage proposals on a weekly basis. She has allegedly considered a jailhouse wedding and the possibility of having children someday, even though conjugal visits are not allowed in her prison. Think about that. A woman who brutally murdered her ex-boyfriend receives weekly marriage proposals from men who believe they understand her, who think they can save her, who are drawn to her despite, or perhaps because of, what she did. It speaks to the strange phenomenon of celebrity killers, the way media coverage transforms murderers into objects of fascination, even attraction. For Travis Alexander's family, this is unbearable. While Jodi Arias maintains a social media presence, sells artwork, and receives marriage proposals, Travis Alexander's family lives with permanent grief. Stephen Alexander, Travis's brother, has spoken publicly about the ongoing pain. "None of it affects the fact that she murdered my brother and she's admitted to it," he said in a 2020 interview. The family has had to endure more than just the loss of Travis. They've had to sit through 2 trials, listen to graphic details about how their brother died, see photographs of his wounds displayed in court and broadcast on national television. They've been harassed by Jodi Arias' supporters who send them autopsy photos and death threats. They've watched as the woman who killed their brother became a celebrity, as cable news networks turned the trial into entertainment, as talk shows and documentaries and made-for-TV movies retold the story again and again. And they've had to watch as Jodi Arias continued to maintain a public presence from prison, as if the murder of their brother was simply part of her personal narrative, her journey, her story to tell. As of 2025, Jodi Arias remains incarcerated at Perryville. She is now 45 years old. She has served over 16 years of a life sentence. Recently, Arias has signalled she may pursue post-conviction relief, PCR, a legal manoeuvre that allows inmates to challenge their convictions or sentences based on new evidence or constitutional violations. In her Substack blog, she wrote that one of her top priorities is pursuing PCR. That line has fueled speculation that Arias is preparing another legal challenge in her long-running effort to overturn her conviction. Post-conviction relief is a last resort option available after all standard appeals have been exhausted. It requires demonstrating either new evidence that wasn't available at trial, constitutional violations during the original proceedings, or ineffective assistance of counsel. Given that the Arizona Court of Appeals already acknowledged prosecutorial misconduct, but still upheld her conviction based on overwhelming evidence, any PCR filing faces significant hurdles. Arias has claimed that proceeds from her artwork are being set aside to help finance any future legal filings. But legal experts are skeptical. The evidence against Jodi Arias was overwhelming. The camera photos with timestamps, the bloody palm print containing her DNA and Travis's blood, the stolen gun, the rental car, the lies, the 3 different stories. No amount of legal maneuvering can erase those facts. The Jodi Arias case became more than a murder trial. It became a cultural phenomenon. The Associated Press called the case a circus, a runaway train, and noted it grew into a worldwide sensation as thousands followed the trial via a live, unedited web feed. They added that the trial garnered daily coverage from cable news networks and spawned a virtual cottage industry for talk shows, and at the courthouse, the entire case devolved into a circus-like spectacle attracting dozens of enthusiasts each day to the courthouse as they lined up for a chance to score just a few open public seats in the gallery. As of November 2025, Jodi Arias remains at the Arizona State Prison Complex in Perryville. She is 45 years old. She has served over 16 years of a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Barring a successful post-conviction relief filing, which legal experts consider extremely unlikely given the overwhelming evidence, she will spend the rest of her life in that 86-square-foot cell. She will never again experience freedom. She will never have the chance Travis Alexander was denied, to grow older, to build a career, to marry, to have children, to live a full life. Her appeals based on prosecutorial misconduct were rejected. The courts acknowledged that prosecutor Juan Martinez behaved inappropriately, that his conduct was egregious, that it violated ethical standards. But they also concluded that none of that changed the fundamental truth. Jodi Arias was convicted based on overwhelming evidence of her guilt. The camera that wasn't supposed to survive, the photographs with timestamps that couldn't be explained away. The DNA evidence, the 3 changing stories, the rental car, the stolen gun, the attempt to destroy evidence, all of it pointed to one inescapable conclusion. Travis Alexander was 30 years old when he was murdered. If he were alive today, he would be 48. He might have married, had children, continued his career, made a difference in the lives of the people he wanted to help. Instead, his family visits his grave. They live with nightmares. They carry trauma that will never fully heal. And they do it while the woman who killed him maintains a social media presence, sells artwork, and receives marriage proposals. That is the reality of justice in this case. Travis Alexander's life mattered. His death was not in vain if we learn from it. If we recognize warning signs in relationships, if we take threats seriously, if we support friends who tell us they're afraid, if we understand that obsession can turn deadly. His memory deserves more than to be reduced to a sensational trial, a cable news spectacle, or a cautionary tale. He was a son, a brother, a friend, a man who overcame a traumatic childhood to build a life he was proud of, a man who believed in helping others succeed. And Jodi Arias took that from him. She took his future, his dreams, his chance to marry, to have children, to grow old. She took the joy his family felt when they were with him. She took away their ability to remember him without remembering how he died. That is the truth at the center of this case. That is what matters. Everything else is just noise.